G'day YouTubers, Pro Muso here with another video. Today I'm just going to be doing a funk blues riff progression that I often use at the end of gigs just to round them off. Very easy to learn, stick around. All right, so I'm just going to randomly play something that you might expect to learn in this video. It's going to be something like this. So that's the kind of rhythm that we're going to use, okay? So I'm playing in E, concert pitch, and I'm playing an E7. So it's just going to be basically E, A, and B, right? Sevens, just like a normal blues shuffle, but it's funked up, and we're playing in sevens, right? All right, so the first thing that we want to get is the rhythm, okay? And the rhythm there all comes from the right hand. As long as you got your right hand doing the rhythm, it's going to naturally transfer to the left hand. The first chord we're playing is E7, right, which is up here. All right? So we've got this E7 shape. You might have seen people doing like a... It's actually an E9, but all right, so fingering, we've got open E, and then we've got the octave E up here on the ring finger, okay? Now the next string is the sixth string on the D string. Right, it's a G sharp note or an A flat. And then we've got this note here, which is a D. All right, so we've got, you might be familiar with that shape. And then we've got the B string, another E. And then there's also another E, which is the open E. So we've got slowly. Right? So that's the fingering that I'm using. But as I said, a lot of the rhythm comes from the right hand. So if we want that funk rhythm, so let's just get into the rhythm. So get that rhythm first without trying to play anything. Just play that chord and just sort of, I'm sort of muting it with my left. Right, muting it with my left hand. That's the rhythm. So just get that in your head, that rhythm. Very important. So all the rhythm comes. Bit of muting here. You can slide up a little bit. Right, get that rhythm in your head first, and then everything will come from it, okay? So I'll normally do like a bass run in, like a... Get into it. So we go. Whatever. There are so many things you can do with that, especially on these two strings here. So these three strings here are all part of the cage system. So we've got, if you saw my pentatonic extension video, it shows you a lot of these, well, these extension shapes, and this is part of the extension. And those three frets there are all 2 frets up and 2 notes apart. If you want to dive into that, then check out my other video, pentatonic extensions. But So I'm sort of concentrating on that shape here. Open. All right, all those three strings are great for rhythm. So when we use the right hand as well, I'm just looking at these two here for the moment. So I can either go on either of those or any of those. See? Can go up chromatically. As long as I get to that E. See, my right hand is keeping me in rhythm. All I'm thinking here is these three strings and that chord. Could even play it on these three notes. I prefer to play the whole thing. Get those notes. We can slide them up like a 1 fret. Same fingering. You can pretty much do anything within these two on that E chord, right? Just play around with that. You know, you pretty much do anything with these three chords on that, right? By the way, guys, give me a like and subscribe if you're getting anything out of these lessons. I try and sort of target it toward the more basic to intermediate guitar players out there, because generally they're the ones that are looking for some guidance in how to play. I mean, if you're a professional, they're not looking for tutorials on there. So most people are looking, you know, to just improve the fundamentals, and that's what I'm sort of targeting. So I hope you get something out of it. So then we move to the A chord. Now, the A chord we're playing like this. So what I'm doing here is I'm playing the A here with my thumb, or I can play open there, right? I actually prefer to play it with my thumb, but you could do it either way in this. The beauty of playing it with your thumb is if you end up changing key and you want to do it here, like... You've got your thumb there to play that root note, because it won't work if it's not in E or A. So anyway, that's why I use my thumb. And so here we've got that A shape, right? Which is... So I'm playing it like this. So I basically bar these three strings. 1, 2, 3. These three strings. The D, the G, and the B. And then I put my finger up on the middle string here, on the G string, right? So we're playing... And I'm also muting that last string, that E there. So from the E, right, so I'm hammering on that middle G string there. But I'm raking across all of them while muting the A here and the E here. Every other string is being played. Back to the E, right? So when I'm on the A chord, normally I'll just sort of focus on these two, the A and the D string, in that same pattern. Chromatic. As long as I get back to that A and that chord on the 1. right? And as you've probably heard there, I often do. So all I'm doing there is I'm barring up to the 4 chord, right? So I'm going. Very easy to do. So we've got that A7 pattern. I'm just barring those 3 strings. On that right hand, there's an upstroke, so we go up, down, up, down. So you can hear it wants to go back to that E. So once we're mucked around here a bit, and then hit that low on the 1, back into that E7 chord, that chord there, right? Now we're looking at the top 3 strings here, or the bottom 3 strings. Any combination. See, I'm just doing anything there on those 3. Those top 3 here. Right, and anyway, so it's obviously a 12 bars, so it's got to go to the 5 chord, which is going to be B, right? So you can go straight up, that same pattern there. Just slide it up 2 frets on the E. Right? You hear that 12 bar, right? Generally on the B, I'll just sort of stick around here because there's a lot of tension there. You know what I mean? So it's basically the same thing, right? You could also play it like this, which is the full bar chord of B7. And the beauty of using that is it sounds good when you slide down and back into the A, right? So with something like this. You know what I mean? So we can either use there or the full chord, just a hybrid of both. So really it's a matter of what feels good to you when you're doing it. Right hand, very important. Get a lot of those upstrokes. Always have a downstroke on the 1 and then just play around. So we've got our fingers going. As long as we've got that 1, we can start playing around. As long as you've got that 1. All right, so, and incidentally, this sort of rhythm pattern is great if you want to jam with someone who's soloing, and then someone says, oh, you want to do a jam in E? This is so great. You can just lay back on it. And they can, you know, while they're whittling over lead, you're just keeping that backbone going. Such a great rhythm. You can just keep bouncing. Bouncing with that right hand in these mutes. You can go for days. Or if you want to loop on your guitar effects thing, just loop that over and over again. I'll often do that when I'm sick of singing and I want to just jam. I play a loop and then just jam solos over it. But we're here for the actual rhythm part anyway, so I won't go into that. And it's also great if you ham it up a little bit for like a chaser at the end of a gig. Okay, so let's get a little bit more into it. A few more places to go. So again, I'll refer you to my pentatonic extensions video, which is just basically one scale of the caged system. All right, I'll quickly go through it. So I go into much more detail in the video, so check that out. So basically what I'm looking for is where I'm at in that extensions grid. All right. So here we've got those 3 strings that I've talked about. So those full 3 strings there are taken care of because it's all right. But when we get to here, we slide up. So that's all I'm thinking of is, as I'm jamming, okay, I know I can go. So what I'm looking at are these 3 here, anything on those 3, and I'm seeing this scale. As I'm playing, I'm seeing this scale here. I'm seeing the part of the extension there, right? So I know that. I know I can play anywhere in there. Anywhere in there, right? I'll use that one a lot. It's very bluesy, so when we get to there, we can actually do those 2. And what I'm doing there is I'm bending that B string up half tone. So the E string there stays the same, and the B string gets bent half tone or a full tone. Full tone is major, right? Half tone is minor. They both work over that major progression. So that's all I'm thinking now. Just keep that rhythm going. When you first start the riff, keep it back. Don't start going. You know what I mean? Just slowly hammer on a couple of these. Keep it low. Because you want room to move, right? You don't want to just blast into it. You want to create a little bit of a little bit of a story with it. But anyway, back to this. So we can do anything within here. So anything within those 3, and then we've got this little. In the box, up 2 frets. Anything in there. If you hit any of those strings, they're going to work over this progression. See, anything. I'm just hitting anything over there. I mean, that scale is fantastic. Anything within there. You learn that scale and you've got anywhere to go within that. Now, another little lick I'll do when I get here. Sometimes I want to create a little bit of dissonance, so instead of going, I'll go. You can hear that wants to change to the next chord, right? So before I do a change to the next chord, so let's say I'm in E and I want to go to A, and I'm getting ready to go to the A. I'll hit that. Doesn't sound so crash hot on its own, but it adds tension, right? So instead of going what I showed you before, we just moved that E string up 2 notes, and we just play this double note pattern here. So we go, and also bend. You hear the tension in it? Wants to go there. Even if we're on the A, we can use it to go back to the E. So we go. Right? So double stops are essential for blues playing, right? It's probably the most popular one there. You can also use this one where we bend up. Again in my pentatonics lesson. But we can use this as a double stop as well. Instead of going, we can hit them both at the same time. So we've got a slide there. All I'm doing there is sliding up to that and making sure they ring out at the same time. And then slide back down. That's really easy. So we've got the box here. As we slide up into that, instead of sliding up and going further, we slide in and slide back out. So we go. All right. And often what I'll do is just to throw in something different is I'll go. All right, so we've got this box pattern here. So that goes basically up to a E power chord, all right? But what I'm doing is I'm chromatically going down, so I'm going. Right, so it creates a bit of tension. You know what I mean? Often when we get to the very end of something. So I'll often use that at the turnaround or something. Something like that. You know, something like that. So there's a few things that we can use. But when I'm playing, I'm looking at that box shape there. I mean, that's half of the strings that are already covered in one box shape. So you've got one chord to learn, one box, and then the extension. All strings are covered. So if you get that in your head, that little shape, you can play anything over it. Pretty much over any chord in the progression. Right? Just play around with it and see what works. Sometimes I'll do an extended version of this. If I'm looking at the clock and I've got like 2 or 3 minutes to go on the gig, then I'll do an extended version. So we'll start out like... And I'll be really laid back with it just to inform the audience subliminally that this is going to be a long progression, right? And then, later on, once I've gone through that a couple of times, maybe I'll do something like... your funky music thing. This is an E9. But then we've got this note. We've got this note here. So basically I'm barring, and you can also play that one. So I'm barring those 3 strings and I'm playing the triad of the E7. So all the notes together. You hear that funk sound, right, with that chord. And I can play through that whole thing. Move it up and down. I can play it up there as well. There's an A. So I'll play the open A and then I'll play the exact same chord. Then I'll do something like... So that's just a B7, so we've got... So just sharpen that to a C for a second. All right, so I'm playing that open B7, which I'm assuming you already know. So we've got... And then I'm playing that chord there, right? That rock power chord thing. So we've got... And then the B again. And then I'll go into like a shuffle, kind of like a... So I'm harmonizing this instead of just going... This is the harmony note here, so I'm going... Just 2 notes there, but then I'm sort of droning on the E. So we can play this thing on the E. We can play this. We can strum through all strings without having to mute any with our left hand. As long as we hit those. See how important damping and muting is? If I was just to go... It wouldn't sound very good. So we got to mute it a little bit. And then we get to the A, we go... So we're harmonizing the A as well. So we've got... Now we're sort of droning on the A string. So it's the same as... So So on that string, we're playing the same, but we're hitting. So we're hitting these two. So but we're using the rhythm, so when I get to here, I'm muting this E string. Not that I really need to, but you can hear this string droning out, right? Oh, sorry. As long as we've got Alright, and you can do that in all kinds of rhythms. So if I'm back up here and I'm doing, and I go back into here, I can bring it down again. It gives me a couple more minutes. So because we're not really going for that crescendo anymore, okay? So it gives us more time to play. So you can use any kind of rhythm you want. Bring it down. Or bring it up. Then we go into the turnaround. Often I like to finish with a bit of a different rhythm there. I kind of got this from John Mayer's Who Did You Think I Was? You know, he does this great lick where it goes, how's it go? Yeah, it goes like this. Yeah, that's it. So it goes. Something like that anyway. But I like to finish it on that. It's a cool rhythm. But you can finish it any way you like. Speaking of finishing it, often when I hit back to the E, I'll do a little riff, something like I did in the intro there. That just goes like this. I think I learnt that from an Albert Lee video. Just a riff that stayed with me. It just goes. Something like that. So often I'll do the one that I did in the intro as well, which is, I can't remember where I learnt it, but so it goes something like this. All right, I'll go over that. Slide up a fret and then hammer on both strings. But we've got to do it quickly. So all I'm doing there is playing the 1, the 3, all right, and then playing a chord up here. But I'll go through that one more time. I can't remember what that chord is. That looks like a diminished, some kind of whatever it is. So you can finish with anything that you want really on an E. There's a billion turnarounds that you can learn. I'd suggest just get a few of them in your pocket. You don't need to learn all of them, but once you get a few of them in your pocket, that's all you really need. But this is a great little progression to play around with and to get your rhythm chops up. You know, it's very basic, but that's what you want to sort of get hold of first, the fundamentals of it. And it's really the rhythm. So this is really great for rhythm playing. Okay, once you get used to that chord, you won't have to think about it. Practice till you can play that chord without thinking about it. You know, practice from going from the 1 to the 4 chord. Practice going. Make sure you can get them before you start trying any rhythm, any lead stuff. Get them in your head. So make just, you know, if even if you just, okay, I've got that, no strings are buzzing or muted, then I've got, make sure I've got that. Go back to the E. Make sure you get them without any mistakes in them. That's the first part, right? Don't move on from anything until you've got it. A good thing I'll often do is if I'm doing a solo or a part of a solo or even rhythm stuff or new chords that I learned, I make sure I go from one chord to the other without making a mistake, and I've got to do it 10 times in a row before I stop. Okay, I've got to get it 10 times. Because what that does is, in your mind, it puts a bit of pressure. When you get to 7, 8, 9 times, it puts a bit of pressure on you, right? Which is a similar pressure to what you'd be on stage, right? It's a really good exercise for being able to master your nerves. So do that and make sure you can do it 10 times in a row before you move to the next thing, right? Because it's a super way of improving and putting a bit of pressure on yourself that you might, you know, feel when you're on stage. And then once you've got them down, just one thing after another, right? Get the chords first, and then get the rhythm. Before you move on to chords, you know, get that 20 times before you move on, right? Really, I want to explain more, but it's pretty simple, this, really. It's all in the rhythm and the muting and just the mastery of the chords themselves. All right, so once you've got the picking down, you can challenge yourself with some right-handed percussive techniques. Right now, this is a lot more difficult to play, but it's great for rhythm. Something like this. You know, something like that. You can just vamp over that with the right hand. But like I said, that's a lot more difficult rhythmically. Even I struggle with that because I don't practice it, but I should. But you can see there are a million ways to play it. And that's just one rhythm out of many, but it's one that I like to use. You know, it sort of signifies the end of a set or something. And it just feels like the right place to play it, either at the end of a set or at the end of a gig. I mean, you could get, you know, if you're doing a 3-hour gig, you could have 3 of them, right? You could have one for the first set break, one for the second, and one for the very end. Different kinds of ones, just to give your act a bit of a theme, which I think is important. So guys, that's going to do it for this video. Please like and subscribe and comment if you're getting anything out of this and maybe some ideas for other videos. I'd like to know what you guys think out there and what sort of stuff you'd like me to cover. That'd be great. Anyway, I'm out. See you guys.